Hello, everyone, and welcome to my series, Key Conversations with Amanda, where I get the pleasure of having wonderful conversations with those that are in my network, those that I meet along my entrepreneurial journey, and just having conversations about business so that we can help each other grow stronger. So I'm really excited today to have my guest, Jill Wooten. And we're just going to have a little conversation about, especially being women business owners in some interesting industries where that is a little bit more challenging. So, welcome, Jill. Why don't you introduce yourself and your company so everyone tuning in can kind of know a little bit more about you?
Thanks so much, Amanda. Like Amanda said, my name is Jill, and I am a female business owner. I own Northlight Builders with my husband, Tieson. We are a construction company. We do remodeling in the residential world, everything from kitchens and baths to home additions and whole home remodels. And we just love the transformation.
That is wonderful. Yes. And Jill and I met, guess it was the beginning of this year in a networking group that we're still both active in now. And so we've just gotten to know each other more because part of that networking group is actually just building relationships and really connecting, which to me is what building a business is all about is relationships and creating those power partners. But yes, you are in an interesting industry as a woman because similar to my experience, especially in videography and filmmaking, there's not so many women in the industry to make it feel as comfortable. So what have you found to be your experience?
So I will say it's 2022, so I think it probably is a lot better than it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
However, I do get asked a lot about if I do bookkeeping for my husband's business or if
Lovely.
I'm just the interior designer. There's definitely some female archetypes and stereotypes that play into our industry.
Yeah.
And so there's some assumptions that are made. And when I was running the production side of things, I actually oversaw projects from start to finish, including checking on all of our trade partners' work and verifying that it was up to code, up to our standards. And I will say that was the most challenging as far as just challenging those norms in the industry and having pushback from people who would think that they knew more than me because my gender was not theirs.
Yeah, I've definitely had that. I've been on projects where I have a team that I bring with me at times, especially on video shoots, because there's a lot of moving pieces, which I know in your industry is the same kind of thing. You have a team. And so, I'm there and I've had a couple of times where even though I'm the one that's initially talked with the client, they immediately go to my male camera operator who's there, amazing, doing his job, ready for my cues and asking all the questions. And you're like, hello. Fortunately, they're like, I don't know, she's the boss, not me. So, redirecting. But it is really fascinating how when you're in an industry that women's roles, like you said, the gender roles are not, we have these preconceived notions that it made me start thinking too of other industries where your brain has been trained. We've been trained by society that, you go in and if you see a mechanic, it's going to be a guy, right? Or if you see home construction or, a plumber, it's going to be a man, right? Not the case, which is good. I love that we are giving opportunities, but it does make it really tricky. Has there been any interesting stories on your side that has sticks out that you've had to really redirect or re-educate?
So I, that's a good question.
And if the one doesn't come to your top of your mind, that's fine too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through. So moving from working in the production side to moving into sales and kind of walking customers through the design process and everything, I thought, oh, this is going to be just a cakewalk because I'm not dealing with subs that have, these attitudes and they think that they can get away with, grout lines that are uneven or whatever it may be. I figured, working with homeowners is going to be way easier. And surprisingly, it has been it's been so much fun getting to know our customers on a closer connection. And there's also been some husband-wife couples that the husband needs to flex a little and show that he knows more than this woman builder who's coming into his home. And even though maybe he doesn't, but I think that there's a feeling of threat that I bring in a way because I'm challenging the status quo and challenging that just because you're a man doesn't mean you have to have more construction knowledge than a woman. It's okay. You've got a lot more knowledge in a different area, but just that's something that I really didn't expect that I would see so much of. And then there's guys who are just completely, confident and fine with who they are. And I do not know the first thing about carpentry. So you tell me what this is and I believe you. And so not all guys are like that. But it just is interesting that it really is a challenge to some men about their own masculinity and having to figure out, am I less of a man because I don't know something that was traditionally a masculine role? And I'm, just shaking things up.
Well, and it's kind of nice to be in it's if you can reframe it, the frustration, because that's where I've come into that. And then you say, okay, I'm reframing, I'm going to give opportunity to any and all and even other women. Is really one of my big passions is being able to provide a safe space for other women in the industry, to not feel like they have to, there's camaraderie, I guess. But at the same time, just that it's challenging that we're identify ourselves through the gender paired with the industry. And that challenge is really kind of fun if you can, make it fun. Yeah, you're always going to have a client or two, or you're going to have someone you deal with that is just like a grumpy person or just not a nice person, and you just don't work with those people if you can help it. But to be able to say, okay, I'm a woman, great, that's who I am over here, but I'm also this. And they don't necessarily mean that the identities are the same. I don't, just because I am this job does not mean it is an impact on who I am as a gender, or I don't feel like I'm less feminine or
Right.
whatever that is. So it's kind of an interesting responsibility that we get to have in these industries, which is kind of cool.
Something that reminded me of is I also, when I first started out, felt like I needed to know everything because I was a woman, and I felt like I need to prove myself that I have a space in this industry.
Yeah.
And as I've spent more time, we've been in business for 6 years now, and as I've grown into my roles and figuring out what it looks like for me to be a woman in construction, I've realized I don't have to know everything. And I don't have anything to prove to anybody. The only person that I'm competing against is myself, and I can always get better. I can always assume the best about everyone else, and it just has been a good growth lesson for me, if you will.
Yeah, it does really come down to mindset. I think that's huge as a business owner anyways, that I know for me, that challenge of, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, all of those things, that come up, they're very real. And they're even more, I think, more of a reality when you're in an industry that you're being challenged as, being there anyways. Like, who do you think you are, little lady, doing this? Or, oh, you're the assistant, right? Or no, I'm in charge. So it doesn't help what we already deal as business owners with, that imposter syndrome and having to know anything and everything. And what a refreshing mindset to be able to say, okay, I'm not sure about that. I'm going to go do some research or ask my expert XYZ, whatever it is, a little bit more, because I want to make sure I have a really good, solid answer for you. Or, just realizing that it's okay as a business owner in general to say, I'm not sure, but I'll find out. I think that's the difference between the mindset, is that willingness, let's say, I'm not sure, I'll find out, I'll take care of you and make sure you're good, you're covered, and you're going to be happy with the end result. So, yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for pointing that out, because I think that's huge anyways, but then definitely more so in anything that's challenging gender roles.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, in general, how are things, how did you get into your industry? I love hearing kind of the origin story.
So I kind of married into it, I'll be honest. Before I married Tieson, my husband, I worked with a nonprofit called Youth with a Mission for 12 years. So I had worked in Australia for 4 years, Hawaii for 4 years, and LA in the training arm. And in my time overseas and working a lot in the South Pacific, based out of Hawaii and Australia, I would go to Fiji, Samoa, Tonga. I got to meet a lot of people and see a lot of the world and learn just about the beauty of diversity. Yeah. And then I moved back to Clark County, which isn't so diverse,
no,
but there are pockets. And
yeah,
I was born and raised here. And so when I moved back up here, I was concerned about what I was going to find here, where I was going to settle, what it was going to look like, because I didn't want to just go back to the way I was in high school, like before I left this area. And
yeah.
I had this chance to kind of re-identify myself. And oddly enough, I don't think it was a coincidence, but I met my husband a week after I moved back to Washington, and we got together. And I think moving into the construction company wasn't an automatic for me. I was a co-owner, but sure, he was doing tile and hardwood finish work, and he's a journeyman installer. He has amazing skill, and I'm totally his biggest fan. But
that's awesome. That's good.
But he was working for a new home construction company and just saw the need for remodeling. And as he was taking on more remodeling projects, because he didn't work for just one builder, he was doing these different projects, and very quickly it expanded, because people don't just want their tile shower done. They want this wall moved to make the tile shower bigger, or they want their vanity done too. And so then there's plumbing, there's electrical, there's different things. And we pivoted rather quickly and early on to be general contractors that could take on the whole remodel project. And at first, we didn't know quite what we were doing in some of those things. But we had a lot of good people around us who did, and we grew from there. Made some mistakes along the way, but as we've grown, we've gotten really clear on our mission and our purpose and what we do well and how we can best serve the right people for us and be the right contractors for them.
That's such a great story. And to be able to move into something where you can support, you can support each other. And I've seen, fortunately, I've been the honor to see your team and meet your team and meet your husband. And it just seems like a really nice culture and dynamic that's very supportive. And it doesn't matter what gender someone was with whatever their expertise. I think it would be that collaboration. I really feel that is huge, a huge core value of what you guys really are behind. So that's awesome. Do you guys have any interesting projects coming up?
So yes, we've got a home edition that we are waiting for permits and crossing our fingers. Vancouver, if you're listening. No.
Right.
Woo. But these folks have, they just have 2 kids, so it's not too big of a family, but then they've also got her brother who's living with them, and they've got parents who have lived with them at different points, and they just need more space. And so they're on a lot where they can't really expand out. So we're doing a 2nd story addition over their garage, and I'm really excited about it because it's a family who it wasn't something that necessarily would have been our ideal client because they've got necessarily the budget that we want to work with, but we've really worked with them to find something that will work to get them what they need and get them to functioning so that they can have more space for their family and to care for their extended family. And I'm excited about that. And I'm also excited about how we're going to make it work as this weather starts turning. And we've got some pretty cool things in place to try and make sure that we don't have it raining in their open area.
Probably be a good idea. As we get closer to Thanksgiving, which is hard to even think that.
I know.
We're like not that far away. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, it's exciting.
It's exciting. And we have, we've been able to build relationships with different permit offices and different people within. Sometimes it's definitely not like the permit people's fault or anything. I definitely don't want to say like they're the problem, they're holding everything up. But I know that there's been a lot with COVID and with just figuring out remote work and how this is going to work now. Clark County has changed their system entirely, so that's going to be some adjustment to that. And so I feel like everyone in the industry, vendors with all of their supply chain issues and things, everyone's doing the best we can. And I think for the most part, homeowners understand that, and they see like this isn't the cabinet maker's fault. Like all of those people got COVID and they had to stay home, and so they didn't build the boxes and your doors are delayed. Like, whatever it may be. But I have seen a lot of understanding this year, which is really cool to see.
That is, I do think that, looking for silver linings through COVID and the pandemic, that's probably one of the things that has really been nice, is that there's a little bit more, like, as long as you're communicating back and forth, regardless, that, people just, it's not their fault. It's like you said, supply chain right now is insane. And just the people that are working in the clerical side of things, they're backed up, they're low staffed. And it's just like, everyone's like, okay, it's just going to take, a little bit longer. But we're going to make it work.
Yeah. Well, and
So.
there's definitely a stereotype in the remodeling world of, did you ever see that movie Money Pit with Tom Hanks?
Oh yeah.
So just 2 more weeks, and that's something that we really try to work hard to mitigate so that people don't experience that.
Yeah.
And
true.
when we, but there's also kind of an understanding of right now with the supply chain issues and with labor shortages.
Yeah.
Because there's, there is a shortage of skilled trades out there right now. And so when, you only have one tile guy and he's sick, sometimes the project gets delayed. And so then the way that you get through that is you communicate clearly. And, most homeowners are pretty understanding, and, they want the project done, but they also know, like, this is life. We're all going through whatever it is. And as we're moving away from, COVID being the major concern, there's still other things that come up, and it's flu season or whatever it is.
Yep. There's always going to be that. It's just, I am glad that gets given us space to be a little bit more kind and understanding, like you said, as long as, you're communicating, and that's all you can do is say, hey, we're going to do the best to mitigate and the best to make this happen. And so that's perfect. So I think that's probably a lesson for all of us in business, is just communicate, try and set up good expectations. And, that goes so much farther, I think, with building relationships with your clients, whether they're a business themselves or they're, business to client type of thing, that it just allows a little bit more fluidity in the process, because sometimes it just, you can't do anything about it. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, if someone out there is tuning in, because actually several people in the community where we are live today are in our area, and they want to learn more about what you guys do, especially if they want to refer you, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can go to our website, northlightbuilders.com. It's north like the direction, light as in the opposite of dark, and builders plural. And you can learn more there. You can find our contact info, see some photos of some of the projects that we've done, and before and afters, which I always love. And
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all of those things. I think at Jillian Wooten.
Perfect. Well, we will be putting all of the links below, so you can definitely check it out and learn a little bit more about some of the amazing projects they've done here in Southwest Washington, Clark County area. And definitely, if you're in the area, check it out for your own or referral to others. So thank you so much, Jill, for being part of kicking off and rebooting this series, which I've been wanting to for a little while, and just having a fun conversation with me today.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Amanda. This has been fun.
Thank you. And everyone tuning in, this will be on replay on my YouTube channel, and I will drop that link. I've actually moved it to a different channel, so it's at Amanda C. Goff, and that's on YouTube. So I will be sharing that link. And until I see you guys all again, take care and be blessed.